This is the brand new Camduck 4K spy camera. Most spy cameras are only 2.7K or 1080p, but this one is 4K. And if you'd like to see what this spy camera looks like and what it's hidden in, well, keep watching because you're watching Blue Collar Guy. Okay, so why would I have a spy camera? What is the purpose of this? Well, Camduck contacted me and asked me if I'd like to review this product. And at first, I was hesitant because I thought, you know, I think of spy cameras and I think of people doing bad things with them. But then I did a little bit of research and I found out there is some practical uses for these spy cameras. Uses that you might need it for. And we're going to talk about that. But we're going to go down to the downward shot. I'm going to take a look at this camera. I did take it out of the box because I wanted to take a look at it, because sometimes these spy cameras can be kind of confusing in certain aspects because you don't know where the camera is. So let's just go to the downward shot. And this is what it looks like. So the camera itself is hidden in this little spot behind the panel here. It's not actually a small camera. It has 3 workable USB ports. These are USB-A and this is a USB-C. Now you're probably not going to get fast charging out of here, but they are functional. It also has 4 fully functional outlets. These actually work. In the box, it also comes with this little guitar pick thing to take off the hidden panel back here, because that's where you put the SD card. It also has an SD card reader for the micro SD cards. So you would simply take this out if you wanted to read your card, and you would take this little micro SD card, you would put it in the back of here, and then you would plug this into your computer. Now, I have my own type of card reader. It's this little guy right here, and it can read micro USB cards and the big ones, and I find that this one here serves me well. I've been using it as far as my, for my camera video transfers, that sort of thing. So as far as SD cards go, they come in different types of capacities and sizes. Now this one would be a 512 and this is 128. Personally, I don't think you'd need to go more than 128. This particular unit might not be able to handle a 512. It may only be able to handle like a 256. I did get the instruction manual here, so I'm just going to take a quick look at the instruction manual to see if it recommends a type of SD card on here. As far as the size goes, I don't see anything on here. Oh, it says right here 256 gigabyte card. So this 512 one would be too big, but the 128 should be just fine. So I'm glad I looked at that. And now we're just going to take off this back panel. So you just take this little guy off here, you pull this off, get your fingernails under there if you got any. I don't really have any. And then I'll take the SD card. Now if you look at the little picture there, you see the little picture. I'm just going to try to get it in the best light. It's got the little tabs, so you're going to hold the card like this with the tabs facing up. You're going to put it in like so. Then use your little guitar pick thing, because you got to push it in until it clicks. Now that it's clicked, it's in place. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to go back to there. Now if you've noticed, it's got a little dummy post here and it's got a regular post here. And that's so that when you plug it in your outlet, it holds it nice and parallel. It also has a screw hole right here. So if you look back there, you'll see the screw is protruding out the back. That is so that you can remove the middle screw on your mounting plate on your existing, and you can put this on and then it will hold this in a more permanent fashion. If you didn't want someone to remove this very easily, you could simply go to your hardware store and look up one of these type of screws with a security head. Those are special screws that you can get where you need a special screwdriver to put them in. But just remember that if you were to use one of those, then you need to make sure that you don't lose that head, or you'll never get this thing out if you need to remove it. But if you just wanted to put it in just so that someone just can't come and unplug it really fast, then this screw would probably be more than sufficient. Now I'm just going to go back to me, and I'm going to plug, well actually before we do that, let me just plug this in, because I got this cord and I'm just going to plug this in. Now this isn't the recommended way. I'm just going to go back to me for a second. Now just to be clear, it's not recommended that you do this. I'm only doing this to show you for visual purposes and so that I can hold this with my hand. Okay, and we're going to go to the camera because I've already downloaded the app. It is called the Camduck app, and it looks just like this little duck. So you can go to the Google Play Store. This is what I did. I looked up the Camduck app. Then I click on this. Now, I have already linked this to my Wi-Fi. I have 5G Wi-Fi. They recommend that you link this to 2.4G. So there are tricks that you can do to link a 2.4G device to a 5G network. I would recommend that you look at those videos if you also have 5G, but I was able to connect it to my 5G. So if you're worried that you can't connect it, you can. But sometimes you have to do a few extra steps to get that to happen. But there is a way to get your 5G Wi-Fi to link up with a device like this. I did it. If you are having trouble with that, let me know in the comments and I can find you the videos that help you do that. But it is extra steps. I'm not going to get into that because it has nothing to do with this camera other than the fact that it needs a 2.4G network to connect. Most devices like this are 2.4G. So we're going to go back to the downward shot, and then we're going to go to video. Let me just see here. I'm going to connect the camera here. So right now we're connected. I've got it set to 4K. So you see right here, I've got it on 4K mode, and if I click on here, that's 1080p mode, and this is 4K mode. You can see them right here. I'm going to keep this review scientific because Camduck did send me this unit at no charge to test. I cannot give an opinion on something unless, of course, I buy it myself. Yes, it does record in 4K. It looks like it's recording in 4K 30, which is pretty much standard when you're looking at, let's say, budget action cameras like the IceFox I just did a review on. And from what I gather, it looks like about the same type of resolution. Now, why would you want a 4K camera like this? When you're playing back your video, if you have to pinch and zoom in, you're going to have less distortion. In other words, it's going to look a lot more clear as you're zooming in. So the higher the resolution, the better it will be when you're playing back the video because it will have more video information in that file. The downside is your file sizes will be a lot higher than they will be in 1080p. Now, their last generation of this camera had a 2.7K resolution, which in my opinion is plenty accurate for a security type of camera. And we're going to talk about where I think that this would be practical for me and you and the average normal person. So I'm going to go back down to the downward shot. So here's me. And then if I go to album, I've created another album here. And I can either cancel, download, share, or check. So if I want to check it, I can check it. And there is me talking. And as you can see, I should, I haven't downloaded it, that's why. So if I download the file, let me see, I'm going to go back. And if I go to album and I click on that, I can download the file. So if I go to the file, I can go to download. The file has been downloaded. And then I can probably go into my files. So, okay. So this is the file that I downloaded. And if I click on it, I can zoom in and zoom out, and I'm not going to have any loss of resolution like I would if it was just 1080p. And then if I go back to here, let me just see. If I go back to here, I can go back to this is the live feed. Okay. If I go back to album, I can go to pictures. These are all the pictures that I've taken with it. And you can download the pictures. You can just check the pictures. So if I want to just check the pictures, I can check them. And you can zoom in on some of the pictures. So we're just going to go back to me. So you can take video. You can take pictures with this device. Now, where would I use this? What is a practical way to use this? Well, I live in an apartment, and it's required by law in my country, in my city, that before a landlord enters my apartment, they're required to give me 24 hours notice. Unless, of course, it's an emergency. So let's say there's a water break or electrical fire or something like that. They can enter the apartment, and that's fine. They have to let me know after the fact. But sometimes landlords and groundskeepers take advantage of that master key. They can come in your place without your knowledge. This also has the ability to notify me if the camera's tripped at those times. So it kind of acts like a covert security camera. I have another security camera in my apartment that I use for the same purposes, because I have a lot of expensive things and I don't want someone just helping themselves into my apartment and helping themselves to my things, and then I might not realize that those things are missing for a day or 2 days or a week or a month. When you have a lot of different types of electronics and someone took one, you might not notice it's missing or its absence for a considerable amount of time. This will allow me to know immediately if something is happening. If I lived on a bigger property, if I had a porch and people were stealing parcels off my porch, this would be a good alternative because it is covert. It is not a visual camera that a bad person would see and they would say, oh, they have a security camera. Maybe we can find a way to defeat that. When you have a covert security camera, it is something that they wouldn't notice, and then you might end up getting better quality video. In other words, they may not cover their face, they may not try to hack it. There are ways that they try to defeat these type of systems. If I had a business where, let's say I had a gas station or a convenience store, and I wanted to make sure my employees weren't stealing out of the till, you could put this in a spot where it could watch the till, and because the employee doesn't think that there's a security camera there, would probably not try to mask or block it or something like that. So there are going to be other cameras in the store, but you may want to add a few extra ones. And the other thing, you could put this camera in places where you think you're having problems with shoplifting, perhaps. There are real practical uses for something like this to help the average person who's having difficulty with certain problems. Some people have been using these in Airbnbs, and it has not worked out well for them. Why? Because they're catching people in compromising positions. They didn't realize that maybe somebody was going to be naked in the living room, even though it's a common area, and they're catching that on video. Some people are also being creeps and weirdos, and they're putting them in bathrooms and bedrooms and things like that. Even though I live alone, I would not put this in my bedroom. And you probably think, well, why not? You live alone. Well, what if somebody needed to borrow my bedroom to change their outfit or their clothes? I'm catching them on camera. What if that person was underage? And now I've caught an underage minor without their clothes on. These are things that people need to use common sense. They have to use common sense when placing something like this. So if I put this in my kitchen, I'm just going to be monitoring my door to see if anyone's coming in that should not be coming in my apartment. I can also use it to look at the door to see if I remember to lock it or not, because sometimes we do that. We leave our place and we say, did I lock that door? Well, the resolution on this is good enough that I should be able to see if the deadbolt is vertical or horizontal to see if the door is locked or unlocked, and that could come in handy for that as well. Don't have to come all the way home to check your door and then go all the way back to work. So there are real uses for something like this. Because the SD card is hidden in the device, it's not going to be something that is easily accessible. Because this one is mounted on the back, if I screw it to the plate, it is now secured. And if I use one of those high-tech security screws that I was telling you about that you can get on Amazon or one of those places where you need a special screwdriver, I think they're like a Torx with a little post in the middle, or some of them are the flathead and you need a special driver to get it out, otherwise it'll just slip. Then I have a very secure way of monitoring an area. Now, Camduck does have a website, and I'm going to show you the website. I'm going to put a link in the description, so if you want to buy one of these, you can get one. I do want to thank Camduck for sending this out. Initially, I was hesitant because, like a lot of people, I was only thinking of the bad ways you could use something like this, and I wasn't really thinking of the practical good ways in which you could help people from either, trying to find out who's stealing their parcels, that sort of thing. But I can't emphasize enough how you need to consult your local laws before installing something like this. You need to make sure that you're not breaking any laws, because I don't want any of my subscribers to ever get sued or get in trouble with law enforcement and get thrown in jail because they put a spy camera in a place that they shouldn't have put a spy camera in. So, I wouldn't really consider this to be, they call this a spy camera, but for a practical person, it is more of a covert surveillance camera. Because we're not using it to necessarily spy on anybody, we're just using it as a security measure because maybe a regular surveillance camera wouldn't be adequate. Like I was describing before, if you had a place of business and all the employees know where all the regular cameras are, so they know how to defeat that if they were going to steal from the proprietor. And if you had a drinking establishment, some bartenders will skim off and they use what they call a weigh scale to try to weigh the liquor before and after to see if that's happening. You could use this to monitor that as well because it also functions in low light. So I am going to show you some examples of this footage just to show you what the audio sounds like and what the video sounds like so that you have a reference to go with. It does have an infrared camera in it, so it can function in either no light or zero light. I'm going to show you the video footage that is within the SD card, and then we're going to go to the final conclusion. So this is zero light on the night vision mode on the Camduck XN security camera. And I'm using separate audio because it does not have an internal microphone that I can find. So we're going to transition back to 4K mode. So this is what it looks like when it switches back and forth from zero light to regular light. And we're going to go into the studio and we're going to look up this camera on their website so that you can get an idea of what it costs. So right now, let's just go to their website and take a look at, see what we've got here. Let's just see. So this is the Camduck XN. So this model here is called the XN, and it has the night vision, and it is $100 if you want to get it from their site, and they will sell it with a 128 gigabyte SD card, and if you buy it with the SD card it is $114, so you can get it with both if you'd like to have it included. Also have a live chat here, so if you need to talk to someone and ask them some questions, you can. And that is it's also got date security as well, so you can put the date on there as well. So if you need a date timestamp, that sort of thing. They accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover card, all that good stuff. And we're going to go back to me. And okay, so now that you've seen the video footage of what this does in low light and how it records, I recorded that in 4K mode just so that you know. You can use these devices in a good way and in a bad way. There are lots of things on this planet that had one intended use and then it got used in a bad way. So that's why it all depends on whose hands this falls into. In the right hands, it can be used to help a person mitigate their losses, for instance, if they own a store. And in the wrong hands, it could be used by a creep trying to catch some video of something he's not supposed to have. So I want to thank Camduck for sending this out to me. I know that we're not supposed to hook it up like this, but it was the only way I could demonstrate this way. I'm also going to mount this in my kitchen and check it out and see how it looks. The camera it needs to be oriented in this fashion. Now, if your outlets are upside down like this, you're going to need to flip those around so that your camera is in the right orientation. Otherwise, all your footage is going to be upside down. Now, it's not that big of a deal because you could simply just hold your phone upside down and look at your video that way. So it's not that you have to do that, but if you're like me, then you're going to want to change that around. And in Quebec, they always mount everything upside down. I don't know why they do that, but they do. So thanks again, Camduck, for sending this out. At first, I was hesitant, and now I kind of get it. I get where you could actually use one of these, and I hope that it helps people with their problem if they're getting their parcel stolen, or if they're trying to figure out if somebody is entering their apartment that's not supposed to, or if they're trying to do some loss prevention, either by shoplifters or their own employees. So that's it for this video. Take care, be safe at work, and I will see you at the next video. Bye.